Hi, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing transverse 2D arrays. This is part A. What I did here is I made the skeleton of my code. I have my matrices, and I know I will need at least 3 different worlds. So public static double, I will need an addition, a subtraction, and a multiplication. So I have made the skeleton of my code. Now I have placed in numbers for my code. The 0 acts as a holding place for the answer. That's why so many of these matrices have 0, because I need an answer to be returned to me. And so the zeros act as a holding place. I'm going to start with my 3 different worlds, and I'm going to use arrays because I'm using a matrixy. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to add matrixy A and matrixy B. I'm going to take this step by step in each of one because that has helped me process. I copied and pasted because for all these I'm using matrixy A and matrixy B. So if I say my name is matrixy C in one world, the other 3 worlds don't know it, so I have to redefine my name in each of the worlds. For each of these worlds, I'm going to need 2 for loops because I'm using a matrixy. The first for loop is going to count the rows, so that is a cross. And the second row loop is going to count the columns, so that is vertical. And I copied and pasted in each of those worlds. Now I'm going to type in the for loops. In the first for loop, I'm going to use X, and in the second for loop, I'm going to use Y. X counts as the rows and Y counts as the columns. And that is how you get every number in the matrixy. We want to start at 0 and then go up to 3. So X is less than matrixy A length and Y is less than matrixy B length. It's telling the code that it should keep running until it reaches that length. And the X++ and the Y++ is also telling the code to add 1 more every time it runs. So now I'm calling the functions back up in the main world. So the first one I made was adding matrixy A and B. And the second one I made was subtracting matrixy A and B. And the third one I made was multiplying matrixy A and B. What I forgot is that when you have other worlds, something has to be produced, which means there has to be a return statement, because something has to be returned to the main world. So now I'm looking at the multiplication matrixy. So multiplication is very different from addition and subtraction. You actually need a third for loop. Now I'm going to add a nested for loop in the main world. This is going to let me print out those different functions that I have made. The difference with this for loop is it does not need a return statement because it's already in the main function. Now I have returned to the multiplication matrixy that I edited with the help of my teacher. The plus equals sign takes the multiplication and adds them together. Because it's a 3 by 3, it's going to work differently from addition. You need to take the first row and the first column, and then you need to take the numbers inside those two and multiply. So Z acts as the third variable. And because you are not changing rows, X is the same in matrix EA, but you are changing columns, therefore you put Z in instead of Y. For matrix EB, because the row is changing, you put Z in, and because the column is not changing, you put Y in. Now I'm going to just show you that it works. So I'm calling matrix E, the matrix C function. I'm showing you guys that it does spit out numbers. And now I'm going to take that away and call the other matrix C function, so B times A instead of A times B, and it's showing you that it spits out different numbers. Therefore, when I make this function, when I call matrix C X, I should be giving numbers. Thank you very much. So for matrix A, I made a scalar multiple. And you have to make sure that for matrix EC, you don't have zeros. So I'm going to change that to numbers so that I get an actual result. Now matrix E Z1, I have to make sure those are different numbers than 0 so I get a result. I'm going to run it, and there you have it. I have a result. Now for matrix Z2, I want to make sure I'm printing out the right thing, and I am, and I put in zeros for C.